Iam res Romana firma et venitimis civitatibus bello par erat. Okay, pretty simple. Subject here, Romana erat firma. So Rome is two things. One, firma, and two, par. Par is an adjective that takes the dative, which is what we have here with venitibus civitatibus, and in what? Ablative bello, war. Sed Romani neque uxores, neque cum finitimis jus connubii habebant. Oh, what are the problems here? Said, here's your subject, Romane, and then we have neque, neither nor. And these things are joining what? What are they joining? Oh, it looks like they're joining one direct object here and another direct object here. Prepositional phrase over here, and connubii is a genitive noun talking about use. Notice jus juris is neuter. So we have subject, verb. So the Romans didn't have this thing or this thing, and then we have these phrases that describe these two things. Tum Romulus, quos tam ex patribus legatos in vicinas gentes misit, qui societatem connubiumque novo populo peterant. Okay, so Romulus, being the good guy that he is, tries to solve their problem. So we've got Romulus, the subject. Quos dom, hopefully by now you recognize that dom is just getting stuck onto the end of the word quos. So quos is modifying quos dom, goes with legatos. Prepositional phrase here. Another prepositional phrase here. So quos dom legatos is the direct object of misit. Romulus misit quos dom legatos. What kind of legatos? Ex patribus. Okay, and then we have a relative clause. You can tell with the qui here. But if you keep going, you'll see that the verb is subjunctive. So what is this? A relative clause with a subjunctive. Oh, that's a relative clause of purpose. Instead of using ut, they used qui. So qui is your subject of this clause. Societatem connubiumque. These are direct objects here. So we have direct object 1 and direct object 2 linked with a que. And then novo populo is probably a dative of advantage. For whom did they seek this stuff? For that novo populo. Nusquam benigne legati auditi sunt, nam finitimi non solum Romanos spernebant, sed etiam tantum in medio crescentem urbem metuebant. Okay, nusquam, adverb. And then we have here another adverb. So never, benigne adverb. Here's your subject, legati auditi sunt. Two-part verb. Hopefully you recognize that as perfect passive. And then this explains why. Because, finitimi, subject. Non solum, not only, and then we have a direct object, Romanos, spernebant. So we have legati auditi sunt, one subject verb. Finitimi, spernebant, Romanos, subject verb direct object. And then we're also explaining, oh look, tantum, that's an adjective. I betcha it goes with crescentem urbem. So there we have that whole phrase is your direct object with a little prepositional phrase on the inside. Notice the nice wordplay by there. They put the medio in between, in the middle of the noun adjective pair. And of course, crescentem is a participle modifying urbem. And then metuebant is your direct object. So we have finitimi metuebant tantum crescentem urbem in medio. Itaque irati Romani vi uti statuerent. Okay, so we've got some not happy Romans. There's your subject. We've got uti, which is the infinitive of utor, which by now you should remember is one of the filthy 5 verbs that takes an ablative object, and it is dependent upon statuerent. So the angry Romans decided to do this thing. Ad am Romulus, ludis paratis, finitimos ad spectaculum invitavit. Okay, prepositional phrase here, subject here, ablative absolute here. Of course you recognize that. Direct object of the main verb here. Another prepositional phrase. So we've got Romulus invitavit finitibus ad spectaculum with this ablative absolute describing some other information about that. Multi convenerent ut ludos spectarent et noam urbem viderent. Oh, this is so simple. You can handle this. We have a subject and a verb and an ut clause. What kind of ut clause? Looks like a purpose clause. Why did they do this? And then here's the verb. I'm assuming that the subject of that verb is still multi. Multi spectarent ludos et viderent noam urbem. And of course, ipsies, noun adjective pair for noam urbem. Okay, and I hate it when it goes over the page, so we will write in the end of the sentence there. Okay. Sabinorum omnes multitudo cum liberis ac conjugibus venit. So Sabinorum, new tribe, the Sabines, and its genitive. Omnes multitudo is a subject, noun adjective pair in the nominative. What kind of multitudo? A multitudo of Sabinorum. Cum liberis ac conjugibus, prepositional phrase, and then there's your verb. So we have omnes multitudo venit. And then other information about that is inside this prepositional phrase. Ubi spectaculi tempus venit, omnes quae intenti in ludos erant, tum signo dato, Romani rapere virgines coeperent. Uh-oh, it's getting exciting. Ubi introduces a dependent clause when what? When spectaculi tempus. One of these is a subject, maybe? I wonder which one. Oh, look, venit. Well, that resolves it because venit is singular. So tempus must be singular, the singular subject. Spectaculi, then, is a genitive noun talking about it. So when the time came, and when what else happened? Because we've got the quaher. And omnes intenti, omnes erat intenti. So when those two things happened, prepositional phrase here, then tum signo dato ablative absolute, Romane rapere virgines coeperent. Well, that's not very polite. We have a subject. Your verb is coeperent rapere. Again, coeperent takes a complementary infinitive. And then virgines is a direct object. Notice the wordplay once again. They put the virgines in between the verb to show that they are being snatched, and they're between probably their abductors, the virgines. Parentes, virginum profugerent, clamantes Romanos hospitium via Wallice. You think? Go figure. Okay, so we've got the subject, parentes. Virginum is a genitive noun saying whose parents, and there's the main verb. And then we also have a participle describing the parentes. Clamantes, and then this participle introduces an indirect statement because to clamo is to shout, which is one of our kissing verbs, saying what? That the Romans, subject, accusative subject, there's your infinitive and your accusative direct object. Nec raptae virgines aut spem de se meliorem aut indignationem minorum habebant. Okay, we've got an and not, nec, and then over here, subject, raptae virgines, and we have out, which is either or. So what are these two things connecting? Looks like they're connecting spem, which is a direct object. So we're probably connecting two direct objects. Let's see if that's right. Spem de se meliorum. So there's direct object 1. Melior goes to spem. De se, prepositional phrase inside direct object 1. And the direct object 2, another accusative, indignationem minorum. Again, minorum is an adjective, going with indignationem. And then, of course, habebant is your main verb. So we have raptae virgines, habebant, meliorum spem de se. They didn't have that, or they didn't have indignationem minorum. Sed ipse Romulus circum ibat, ostende batque, id patrem virginum superbia factum esse. Okay, let's not blame the victims. Let's just blame the parents. Okay, ipse Romulus. This is an intensifier, Romulus himself. Here's your subject. Verb, of course, is circum ebat. So Romulus did two things, circum ebat and ostendebat. Ostendebat is showing. Let's see. Knowing, sensing, saying. It's like a kissing verb. He's showing that. He's saying that. So that introduces an accusative infinitive construction. Starting here with id. So there's your accusative, and it ends, of course, at the infinitive over here. Factum esse. So it's id. Superbia is ablative because factum esse is a passive infinitive. So this thing was done. Why? Why did this thing come about? On account of the superbia of who? Of this genitive phrase. Superbia, patrum, and then virginum goes there. So on account of the superbia of the patrum of the virginum. Quamquam vi captae estis inquit, omnia jura Romanorum habebitus. Okay, I think he's trying to be nice here. Quamquam, although, okay, we, careful, this comes from that irregular noun, wis. We, go look it up. If you don't remember it, it shows up all the time. Captae estis, of course, is your passive verb, and it goes with an ablative. So you were captured by what? By this ablative noun. Captae, notice that is feminine. So who is Romulus talking to? I wonder. Omnia jura, neuter, plural, accusative. There's your direct object. Romanorum, of course, goes there. And then habebitus, that is your main verb. And the subject, of course, is the Sabine women. Jam multo minus perturbati animi raptarum erant. Okay, jam, boring connector, and now, multo, this is an ablative of degree of difference, by a lot, by a whole bunch. Minus, okay, adverb, perturbati animi. Okay, we have, the subject here is animi, and your verb is two parts, perturbati erant. And then whose minds are we talking about? The minds of the people having been seized. So apparently you just speak nicely to women that you abduct into a strange place and they feel all better. Wow, this is so progressive. At parentes earum civitates finitimas, ad quas eius injuriae pars pertinebat, ad arma conquitabant. Surprise, surprise. But parentes, there's your subject. Earum, whose parents? Of those people who were probably snatched. Notice you've got that feminine genitive thing going on, referring to the Sabine women. Civitates finitimas, direct object. Looks like we have a relative clause coming next because we see this quas. So prepositional phrase starting here, and of course, and your relative clause ends there. So prepositional phrase there. The subject of your relative clause is, of course, pars. Inuriae is talking about pars, and eius is demonstrative, this injury, and then the verb, of course, is pertinebat. So we've got this relative clause in the middle, and then we continue the main clause with this prepositional phrase, ad arma, and then conquitabant is the verb. So again, you have parentes, conquitabant, civitates finitimas, and again, it's parentes earum. And then we have this nifty, big, huge clause here, not really that big, to describe the civitates finitimas. Hi, civitates, omnes a Romulo victae sunt. Surprise, surprise. Okay, subject, hi, civitates omnes, a Romulo, boring prepositional phrase. And why do we have a Romulo? Because we have a passive verb here. Novissimum bellum ab Sabinis ortum est, quod multo maximum fuit. Okay, looks like we've got a pretty simple linking sentence here. Subject, novissimum bellum. Ab Sabinis, prepositional phrase, ortum. That's kind of deponent, rose up, came about on account of, came about why from there. Quod Relative pronoun talking about bellum, which of course means that we have a relative clause coming, and it goes there. What's up with this multo? We just saw this on the last page. That's another ablative of degree of difference. Greater by how much? By a bunch, multo. Sabini, arcum Romanum, in Monte Capitolino dolo che parent. Okay, pretty straightforward. Subject, direct object, prepositional phrase in Monte Capitolino, ablative, showing how they did it, and then here's your verb. Sabini che parent arcum Romanum in Monte Capitolino, with this ablative here. Romani postero die arcum recipere conati sunt. Are we surprised? You have a battle. Sometimes the bad guys get your territory, and sometimes you get it back. Of course, are the Romans or the Sabines the bad guys here? We'll have to think about that some more. Romani, subject. Postero die, ablative of time when. When did they do this? Arcem, direct object, and then here is recipere, which is an infinitive because conati sunt takes an infinitive. So this whole phrase here is your verb. Ubi hostius hostilius dux exercitus Romani cecit confestum acies Romana pulsa est. Okay, ubi, nice clause marker, introduces a dependent clause. Hostius hostilius, what a great name. Hostius hostilius, it's time for dinner. Hostius hostilius is obviously the subject of this dependent clause. Then we get this nice phrase to describe him. What do we know about him? Well, we know that he's a dux of this genitive. And what happened to him? Well, apparently he suffered the same fate as Aeneas and Latinus, because every time you win a battle, somebody cool dies. Confestum, adverb. Acies is the subject of the main clause here. And Romana, of course, modifies acies. And then here's your passive verb, pulsa est. So you have a dependent clause starting with ubi and then ending at cecit. And then your main clause is here, confestum acies Romana pulsa est. Ad Romulus templum vovit Jovi statori oravitque auxilium. Okay, here's Romulus. Subject, direct object, verb. Okay, so you promise a temple to this dative here, Jovi statori. That's Jupiter the stator, which literally means Jupiter, the guy standing there, in that he stood there and was faithful to the Romans. So Romulus promised a temple, and then he prayed. Well, if you're going to fight a battle over people that you yourself kidnapped, why not ask the pagan gods for help? Tum credanes preces suas auditas esse, hinc inquit Romani, Jupiter optimus maximus nos resistere ac renovare pugnam jubet. So, apparently, Romulus is now channeling his inner pious guy. Okay, credanes. Oh, by now you are a pro at recognizing nominative singular present active participles. You probably see that, remember that credanes can not just be believe, but also think, and it introduces an indirect statement. Okay, so it's going to start here. Notice we've got the accusative, prece suas, so that's probably the subject of it, his prayers. There's your passive infinitive, auditas esse. So, there's your participial clause, thinking this stuff, but we're still waiting to see what he really did. Oh, he said, and what did he say? Hinc, here. And Romani, I suspect he is addressing the Romans. This is probably vocative, talking to them. Jupiter optimus maximus. Ah, what a nice subject. Nos, accusative direct object, and then we've got two infinitive, resistere ac renovare. Well, why are those infinitive? And we've got an accusative here, you bet. Oh, that's why, because you order, Jupiter optimus maximus is ordering, you always order an accusative, nos resistere, to do the infinitive. So it says, Jupiter optimus maximus orders us to do this and to renovare pugnam. So apparently they are divinely inspired. Resisterent Romani tamquam kai lesti walki usi. So, verb, there's your subject, and then he's saying, how did they do that? As if usi is modifying, of course, the Romans, having been ordered by this ablative phrase, kai lesti vace. Tum sebenae mulieres ausae sunt, se inter tela volantia infere, ut pacem a patribus virisque implorarent. Okay, we've got some interesting stuff going on. First of all, the Sabine girls who were kidnapped are no longer called girls. They are now mulieres, probably because they are married women. Okay, your verb here, ausae sunt. Do not mix up audeo, which means to dare, with audio, which means to hear. And ausae sunt, audeo, comes from that. And it is a semi-deponent verb. That means that in the perfect tense, it is deponent, but in the other tenses, it is regular. So this is not passive, it is deponent in this tense. So there's your verb, and it takes a complementary infinitive, which is infere. So the Sabine women dared to do this. To infere, here's your direct object, say. And then you have among the flying weapons. Well, why in the world would they do that? Because we have a nice purpose clause to explain why. Ut, down to implorarent. Pacem, of course, is your direct object. You have a prepositional phrase here, patribus virisque, and then implorarent is your subjunctive verb, explaining what the Sabine women were trying to do. Implorarent pacem a patribus virisque. Notice, viris is another word for husbands. So apparently these women now consider their abductors to be their husbands. That is creepy in multiple ways, and I will let you ponder that. Okay, moving on to the next page. Duces ea re moti non modo pacem, sed etiam civitatem unam ex duabus vacuant. Regnum quoque consociant, atque Romam vacuant sedum imperii. Okay, duces looks nominative. Ea re moti, participial phrase here. Moti talks about duces. Ea re, of course, is ablative, showing what is responsible for the action in that passive participle. Non modo means not only. Oh, and then we've got a direct object. Not only this direct object, pacem, sed etiam, this direct object. So what about peace and even one city? Ex duabus, prepositional phrase. Oh, and then there's your main verb. So duces vacuant, pacem, and civitatem unam. What else do they do? Regnum quoque consociant. Okay, so it looks like another direct object here. And regnum is a direct object of consociant. And the duces are probably still the subject. So duces, consociant, regnum. And vacuant, Romam sedem. They make one direct object something else. The sedem imperii, so they make it like the capital of the new state. Multitudo ita aucta novo nomine quirites appellata est ex curibus quae urbs caput Sabinorum erat. Okay, now we're getting some nifty etymology here. So multitudo, nominative. Ita, this is from augeo, which is, so this is a perfect passive participle of augeo. The crowd having been increased. Oh, we've got some naming going on. What about this crowd having been increased? They gave it a new name. It was called Quirites. And then here's your ablative with a new name. Why was it called Quirites? Well, according to this text, it looks like it was called Quirites because they can't spell. They were trying to get the word from Curia, which was a Sabine city, and when it came over, they switched the spelling a little. So that's kind of interesting. From Curibus, quae urbs caput. So apparently that city was the capital of the Sabine place. So they added that name to make the two combined states sound a little bit better. So Romans can now be called Curites, and you don't really care about that unless you're reading other literature where they call Romans anything other than Romans. That's just another name for Romans. Diende Romulus, populo in curias triginta diviso, nomina mulierum raptarum curiis dedit. Okay, Romulus is our subject. ablative absolute here. Let's see, we've got the ablative noun, the participle, prepositional phrase, nomina, direct object. The nomina, direct object. Dedit is your verb. Curiis, ablative. And mulierum raptarum is genitive. So what is it modifying? It is modifying. Mulierum raptarum is modifying nomina. Because apparently if you get abducted and become part of a new state, they make it up to you by splitting the state into different tribes named after you. This is creepy in so many ways. Post aliquot annos, Tatius ab Laurentibus interfectus est. So wait, who is this Tatius and why do we give a who? What happened to him? Well, the text kind of skips this part, but Romulus and Tatius, who was the Sabine leader, kind of agreed to rule together for a while since they combined the two states. So, prepositional phrase. After some years, Tatius, subject, ab Laurentibus. Maybe there was some sort of other military thing because the Laurentian people are this ablative phrase here. Interfectus est. Oh, my favorite verb. Woohoo! Romulus post ea solus regnavit. How convenient for Romulus. Okay, solus, of course, modifies Romulus. Since Tatius is out of the way, Romulus is in charge all alone again. Annis sequentibus, bella secunda, cum fedenatibus, vienitibusque, populis Etruscis gesta sunt. Okay, so they want to talk about the passage of time and they're in a hurry, so they use this ablative absolute. In the following years, with the years following. Bella secunda, it looks like, well, this is either a subject or a direct object. We will have to keep going. Prepositional phrase here, with these guys. And then another prepositional phrase to describe those guys. Oh, and here it is, gesta sunt. So this is plural, so bella secunda is probably plural. Gesta sunt is passive, that makes sense. Following wars were waged. Dum Romulus, quodam tempore exercitum in campo Martio recensit, tempestas subito coorta eam nimbo operuit. Well, this is kind of different. Okay, dum plus an indicative, that's just like a while sort of clause going on, while this was happening. So that's a temporal clause. Romulus quodam tempore, ablative of time when. They don't know exactly when, so they're using this random at some time. Romulus is your subject. Exercitum, direct object. Campo Martio, talking about where all this happened. While Romulus was doing this to the army. Tempestas, there's your subject. Subito coorta, a storm. Coorta describes tempestas. Having come up suddenly, subito describes coorta. Eum, direct object, probably referring to Romulus. Nimbo, ablative, and operuit. Wow, that's interesting. Tempestas, operuit, Romulus. Patres, qui proximi staterant dixerant regum sublimum raptum esse. Patres, those must be the senators. They look like the subject. Qui introduces a relative clause. Qui proximi staterant, right there's your verb ending that clause. So your main sentence is patres dixerant, and dixerant, by now you should be saying ding ding, time for an indirect statement. Starting here, ending here. We have the accusative subject, modified by sublimum. They said that the sublime king raptum esse. Hey, that's not very Catholic. Is this like, oh, what are those things called? The rapture? Are they getting evangelical on us? I don't know. Anyways, that's what the senators claimed. Diende, universi clamant, salve Deus, Deo nate. Oh, wow, this is a pretty big deal. You disappear, and you get a new name, apparently. Deus. So what's this Deo nate? I think nate here is vocative. God, born from a god. Because remember, Romulus is like Mars' son or something. Romulus dicator, post ea, quidam kiwi, se ostendisse et eum, his verbis allocutus esse. Okay, so we've got Romulus here, obviously the subject, And this is interesting. Romulus is said. So it's kind of like an indirect statement saying, dicunt Romulum. They say that, or Romulus is said, and then we're jumping into this accusative infinitive construction. Romulus is said afterwards. Okay, so it starts here and ends here. Let's see. We've got a dative to a certain citizen, and then we have an accusative, probably the direct object of this infinitive ostendice, because Romulus is understood to be the subject. So it is said that Romulus had shown himself, and Romulus also did this, addressed him with these words. So who did he address? This eum is referring to the citizen, not to Romulus himself. Because if Romulus had addressed himself, A, that would be weird, and B, they would be putting a say there. So this eum means that it is referring to somebody other than the subject of this infinitive. So Romulus is said to have shown himself, and Romulus is said to have addressed, notice that's deponent, that guy with these words. So what did Romulus supposedly say? Nuntia Romanis Deus velle meam Romam caput orbis terrarum esse, prende res militaris colenda est. Nam nullae opes humanae armis Romanis resistere possunt. Well, that's awfully inspiring. Besides the fact that you are seeing the ghost of somebody who is supposedly dead, he gives you a very specific message. And he gives it in the imperative. Tell everybody. Tell who? Romanis. Tell to the Romans, dative. And I betcha it's another indirect statement because we've already got the accusative here and the infinitive here. So tell the Romans that the subject of the indirect statement, the gods, velle, that's want, and that also takes an accusative infinitive sometimes. What do the gods want? And so we're going to put that here. The gods want meam Romam, my Rome, esse, to be what? The gods want my Rome to be the caput, and then orbis terrarum. That doesn't really just mean the circle of the world, earth, but that means the whole world. Okay, so that's that indirect statement right there. Again, the gods want my Rome to be the head of the entire world. Okay, and then we are continuing. Furthermore, prenda. Oh, look, we have an ND word. Yippee, skippy, ND. That's a must. So apparently Romulus is saying the military thing must be this. And then he's explaining why. For nullae opes, there's opes humanae, there's your subject. Why do we need to take care of that military thing? Because this, no human things with this ablative, and then here's your verb, are able to resist the Romans. Oh, so that's why Rome needs to have a good army. Post ea nomen Quirinus Romulo additum esse. Well, my bad, additum est. Of course, that's not a surprise. And we do see this quite often in literature. Romulus is also known as Quirinus, and on the previous page we saw where they got that word to begin with. So the name Quirinus afterwards, additum est to the dative. Regnavit septem et triginta annos. So this talks about how long Romulus had ruled. Notice you have your accusative of extent of time here.